Okay, so the next thing we want to do, once we've got our shapes that we're happy with, at least as far as this investigation goes, then what we want to do is we want to start to be able to understand how to make some consistent drawings that relate back the process of what we are doing. And one of the ways we're going to do that is we're going to use what is known as the make 2D command. Okay. And so what that's going to do is it's going to take whatever we see here and it's going to make a series of line drawings. But in architecture and in design, we don't generally use perspective to relate technical drawings, right? Because perspective we can't measure off of. Okay. Now we could use a series of elevations and section cuts and plans, and that would be a totally fine way of showing how this volume and inner space is constructed. But one way I'm going to show you is through an axonometric drawing, okay? So before that we do that, I'm just going to rotate this, okay? I'm just gonna get us back to that sort of open book kind of look here. Let's just get this rotated in place there. Great. Okay. Now we don't want to be in perspective mode. Perspective is great for modeling. It kind of makes sense. It shows us the size and scale of shapes relative to others. Kind of gives us a sense of what the spatial quality is doing right now. But as far as a technical drawing, it's not very useful for me. So what we're going to do is we are going to, first I'm going to hide this object here. Okay, I'm just going to type in hide. And if you ever need to see all the things that you've hidden, remember we can just use the show command. Okay. But I'm going to hide that away because I'm really just interested in these two objects here. You will show that object. You're going to do an axon for this one if you're in my studio as well, just to show the space, the volumetric space that you've created. But for now, let's just hide that because otherwise it's going to become too messy. We want to sort of isolate these objects individually. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go down in that drop-down menu here, and we're going to go to Set View, and we are going to change the view here. Okay, we're going to come down to isometric. And let's just have a look here. Let's just see. Northeast, no. Okay, northeast is not the view we want. Let's try the opposite. Let's go southeast. Ah, great. Perfect. Okay. So an axon drawing is a projection off of a sort of a common plane. Okay. In this case, we could assume that it's this line here that I'm just drawing to illustrate to you. And it comes off of that line by a certain degree, as well as this side here. These degrees should be equal. Now, there are different ways to draw isometric and axonometric drawings. There are 30-60 drawings, there are 45-45 drawings, and all sorts of different methods to do an axon. But we're just going to use the standard version that Rhino has here. And this looks pretty much like a 45 degree, if I'm not mistaken. If I were to let's just draw another line here. And I'm just going to roughly connect it. Now, because I'm in parallel mode, I can't actually use my orthographic. That actually looks like a 30-degree angle to me. Okay, this looks like a 30 and a 60-degree angle. So these are 30-degree projections. And why this is important is because all of these faces now, because they're in parallel, we can now use this to measure. And this is a very common projection that engineers and designers, like industrial designers, will use to represent their work. Because in one drawing, we can get 1, 2, in this case 3 and 4 faces, and a 5th face here and a 6th face here, right? But we can definitely get at least 3 faces of a single object in the drawing. Okay, and that's really important. That's kind of like a 3-for-1 sort of thing. Okay, so now we're in isometric mode. Now, if for whatever reason you had all your other objects populated here in visibility, it might default and show you all those here. Okay, when you set it to set view isometric, it might zoom you out and you might go, oh, I really want to get to this object. So one thing we can do is we can just select that object. Remember, we're going to use that ZS command and zoom in. Okay. Do not rotate it. This is absolutely vital. As soon as you rotate it, you've broken those projection lines. And I'm not saying that this is not in a proper parallel projection. It's just not a very useful one. It's not a consistent one with what we're going to do. So as soon as you've rotated it like this, any little degree, you got to go back. You got to go set view, isometric. And in this case, it was southeast for me. Okay. Have a look at the different cardinal directions here and find the one that shows you kind of the sides and the inner volume for my students. Okay. You can zoom in and out. That's fine. You're not breaking that projection, but do not rotate. Okay. As soon as you rotate it, you got to go, oh, shucks, I got to get back. Okay. So once we have our view set up, the next thing we are going to do is going to be a make 2D command. Okay. And for that, we're going to look at in the next video. So stay tuned.